Hello, welcome back. And sorry to those of you who also have me for government because I'm going to use the same joke here. I haven't seen you guys since last month. You're probably like, OMG, why is she so funny? But, anyways, welcome back. This week we are going to continue on our assessment journey. I want to first clear up reliability versus validity, or try to clear up. It seems like some of you are a bit confused. So I want to do that. And then I want to talk to you about multiple choice questions, how to write test questions. And hopefully, also this week, we'll finally get to experience Megan's first day of school. But first, let's take a look at why it's so important as a teacher to write good test questions.
So the first question was, what ended in 1896? And some kid said 1895. Now this one is a quadrilateral. I don't know when the last time I seen that word, man. Name the quadrilateral. Hope literally named them Bob, Sam, Teddyson, Kate, and Harry. The only thing I got, it was number one, square. Then we have a sedimentary rock. Is it bad that I don't even know what a sedimentary rock is? And just in case he got that wrong, the extra credit is, what is the strongest force on earth? This kid said love. Why would a teacher mark that wrong? Love is a strong force. The man pet the dog? Okay, first off, is fit or hit? You should not hit dog. Write an example of a risk. This. What kind of work? You are to assume the role of a Chinese immigrant in 1870 and write a letter home describing your experiences. Can anyone confirm what this says, and even if this is right? Because I have a tattoo and I don't even know if this is right anymore. Can y'all tell me what this says right here? Briefly explain what hard water is. Ice. That's what it is. What do we call the science of classifying living things? This kid said racism. Solving equation by 1 over n sin x equals question mark 1 over n. So who marked that up? I'm not understanding any of this, man. Is this for kids? Some atoms share electrons and become more stable. Describe a situation in which people share something and everyone benefits. Communism. Who is writing the, what kind? Frankie earns money at home by, he don't earn money. He gonna let y'all know now, he does not earn money at all. I am a freeloader. My dad called me that plenty of times. Did the teacher write a letter to the parent after seeing this?
Some of those students were just being little smarty pants, but it does prove that we do have to be purposeful when we're writing test questions or assignment questions. And so the reason I introduced to you guys the idea of validity and reliability is I don't ever want you to feel as a teacher that you're testing because you have to test. Yes, we have to test, and it's not my favorite thing. But when we are writing test questions or giving assignments, any assessments, we want to know why we're doing it, and we want to be sure that the results that we're getting are both reliable and valid. So it's valid if it measures what it's supposed to measure. If I were to give you a test on what does validity mean, and at the end your grade reflects how neat you wrote, your punctuation, then that data is not valid. I would have to ahead of time say, on this test, I'm going to be grading you for both punctuation and your understanding of the term validity. And so validity just means that it measures what it's supposed to measure. And then reliability is your consistency. And so with reliability, oftentimes we talk about ensuring that you have a rubric. And so that no matter if I grade it today or tomorrow, no matter if I grade it or even if someone else grades it, will your results be reliable? And so when you're thinking of reliability, think of consistency. Admittedly, I hadn't planned on talking again about reliability and why can't I say those words? Reliability and validity. But through formative assessment, a few of you reached out and said you were a little confused, and so I redid my lesson plans. Next week, I do want to talk about rubrics because what I think I'm going to have you guys do is actually help me rewrite a rubric for the next time you teach. But first, for the rest of today and this week's lesson, I want to talk about multiple choice questions.
How to make a killer multiple choice test question by Academy of Learning Career College. This video will show you how to make one of the most common test question types, the multiple choice question. First, let's break down the parts of a multiple choice question. Check out this example. This is called the stem. It's the initial statement or question that requires a response. These are called alternatives. They are the different response options to the stem. One of the alternatives is the correct answer. It's the right response to the stem. While the rest are called distractors. They are incorrect responses to the stem and serve to throw off the unprepared test taker. Great, you may be wondering, but how do I make a killer multiple choice question? Here are 10 tips to use as guidelines. Number 1. Be sure to present a clear question or problem in the stem of your test item. You want to make certain that a test taker who knows the subject matter will be able to answer correctly. Number 2. Don't introduce new language. For example, if the course refers to horses as horses, but then the test question refers to stallions and fillies, which are types of horses, the test taker will be unfairly confused. Number 3. Whenever possible, avoid writing negative stated stems. For example, which of the following does not mean a male horse can be rephrased as which of the following means a female horse, and will generally result in test responses that better reflect what has been learned. Number 4. If you have many multiple choice questions in your test, vary the position of the correct answer. The easiest way to do this is to shuffle around the alternatives for each question after you've created the entire test. Number 5. Keep the alternatives a consistent length and format within the same test item. Generally, we have a tendency to make the correct answer longer, more detailed, and more complex than the other alternatives. Test takers pick up on this and tend to select those longer alternatives as a result. Number 6. All the alternatives in a test item should be plausible and mutually exclusive. Carefully chosen, credible-seeming alternatives will help you confirm that your learners have grasped the finer points of what you've taught. Number 7. Limit your use of the alternatives, none of the above, and all of the above. These are lazy alternatives and generally frustrate test takers needlessly. Number 8. Consider presenting a chart, a reading excerpt, or a short case, and writing a series of questions in which test takers have to interpret what you've presented in order to select the correct answers. These questions are more difficult to create and, unsurprisingly, can be the best kinds of multiple choice questions for assessing learners. Number 9. Proofread. When you are done creating your entire test, run through it, or better yet, have a trusted colleague take your test. It is easy to make small errors when we create a test, and it is also easy for those errors to totally undermine test questions. So, try to catch them before you accidentally frustrate your test takers. And lastly, Number 10. Throughout your test creation process, remember that your goal is to find out how well your learners have achieved the objectives of the course. Your goal is not necessarily to write challenging questions or a hard test. A well-written test question is difficult for an unprepared test taker, and simple for a well-prepared test taker. And that's how you write a killer multiple choice test question.
I think he has a lot of great advice. Some other things I like to focus on when writing multiple choice questions. I put alternatives at the end. I put repeated words in the stem or in the question itself as opposed to in the alternatives. Place the word in the stem and the definition in the alternatives if you're testing definitions. Avoid cluing and linking. I know that students will say use the test to take the test, but avoid giving them that option. Avoid textbook wording as much as that might frustrate students. You don't want it to be word for word. We're not asking students to memorize, we're asking them to understand. Use simple vocabulary and sentence structure. He mentioned that in the video. Don't try to confuse them. Use consistent, correct punctuation and grammar. Make sure that the alternatives make sense with the STEM. Avoid phrasing the item so the student's personal opinion is an option. No multiple choice question should have more than one correct answer based on your opinion. Arrange alternatives in a logical order. So when I am writing multiple choice questions for the amendments, I'll put 11, 12, 13, 14. I'll try not to have them go out of order. That's just confusing and unnecessary. Have distractors that would be plausible to non-knowledgeable students and have homogeneous alternatives. And so what that means is that if someone doesn't completely understand something, they will choose that wrong answer. And that's going to give you a heads up on where their head's at. And then have distractors based on common errors or misconceptions if possible. Listen, with regards to that last question, sometimes I throw in answers that don't make sense, not to confuse students, but to make it easy and to have fun. And sometimes you need something fun in your life. But as you are now looking at multiple choice questions from your teachers, if you have a relationship with them, challenge them. Please reach out to me if you notice that one of my multiple choice questions goes against the rules I just presented to you. I actually like teaching this part in the seminar class because it's kind of a good reminder to me. And so when I guarantee you, when I go to write a Google form or a quiz or anything in the next few days or weeks, I am going to have to correct myself based on what I just taught you. This is all I have for you this week. Next week, we're attacking rubrics. Woohoo! Have a great week.